Have you ever watched a kid learning to read and you see them just get stuck? You know, they're sounding out the letters, everything's going along just fine, and then, bam, they hit a word that seems to break all the rules. Well, that exact problem has a secret solution, a really powerful category of words that acts like a cheat code for fluent reading. It's got to be one of the biggest frustrations when you're learning English, right? We teach a child the rules of phonics, how to sound out letters, and then we hand them a book that is just filled with words that seem designed to confuse them. Why is that? Why can't English just be consistent?
And this is right where that confusion starts. On one hand, phonics works perfectly. C-A-T becomes cat. J-U-M-P becomes jump. It's totally logical. But then you get a word like said. Phonetically, that should be said, right? But no, it's said. Or what? W-H-A-T should rhyme with hat, but it doesn't. Trying to sound these out, it's just a dead end.
And this is where that magic of reading really starts to break down. When a child has to stop and struggle with every single one of these common rule breakers, their fluency just collapses. The reading gets all slow and choppy, almost robotic. But even more importantly, their confidence just plummets, and the joy of picking up a book starts to feel like a total chore.
But thankfully, there's a really elegant solution to this phonics roadblock. It's a strategy teachers use to help kids just leap right over this hurdle and build some real momentum. It is all about a very special category of words.
They're called sight words. And the crucial point here is this. Instead of trying to sound these words out letter by letter, we teach kids to recognize them on sight instantly, just by looking at their shape. It's like a bypass for the brain, letting them skip the whole decoding step for these specific tricky words.
And listen, these aren't some obscure, complicated words. They are some of the most common words in the entire English language. We're talking about words like the, of, said, was. I mean, you literally can't read a single paragraph without running into a whole bunch of them. They're the glue that holds all our sentences together.
And the scale of their importance is just staggering. Get this, up to 75% of all the words in books for early readers are sight words. 75%. So, mastering these words isn't just helpful. It's the absolute key that unlocks the vast majority of any text a young reader is ever going to see.
Okay, so that explains what they are, but it doesn't really explain why they exist in the first place. I mean, why is English so messy? To get that, we need to take a quick trip back in time.
It's a fair question, don't you think? It kind of feels like English was designed by a committee that never actually met each other. Well, the answer lies in the language's chaotic and, frankly, multicultural history.
The reality is English isn't just one pure language. It's more like a historical mashup of dozens of languages. It started off with Germanic roots, then got a huge dose of French after the Norman conquest, absorbed a ton of Latin for things like science and religion, and just kept borrowing from countless other languages all along the way. And when all those different spelling rules and pronunciation patterns collide, what do you get? You get chaos. You get words that look one way but sound completely different because their origins come from totally separate linguistic systems. So, sight words aren't a flaw in the system, they're actually a necessary adaptation to manage this beautiful, historical mess.
So that's the historical why. Now let's dive into the cognitive how. I mean, for this historical patch to actually work, our brains need a special ability to handle all these exceptions. And the neuroscience behind how our minds pull this off is absolutely fascinating.
Think about it like this. How do you recognize a friend's face? You don't analyze it piece by piece. Okay, one nose, two eyes, one mouth. No, you see the whole pattern all at once, and you just know instantly who it is. Well, your brain does the exact same thing with sight words. It stores them as complete visual patterns. Now, the scientific term for this mental database is the orthographic lexicon. It sounds complicated, but it's really just like a visual dictionary that you have in your head, where your brain files away the unique shape and letter pattern of thousands of words, all ready for instant retrieval. And this right here is the key to fluency. By building up this visual library, a reader can skip that slow, laborious process of decoding letter by letter. They see the word where, and their brain doesn't sound it out, it just pulls the complete file, the shape, the sound, and the meaning, all in a fraction of a second. Okay, so how do we actually build this visual dictionary in a young reader's brain? Well, it's not about magic. It's about a very intentional and actually a surprisingly simple teaching method. The method is beautifully straightforward. First, you see the word. You just look at its whole shape, its length, the tall letters, the short letters. Then you say the word, connecting that sound to that unique shape.
And finally, and this is the most important step, you use it in a sentence that locks in its meaning and context. See it, say it, use it. Simple and incredibly effective.
And teachers make this process really fun and engaging through all sorts of cool activities. They might do sight word hunts, where kids search for the word in a story. They use flashcards, create these giant word walls in the classroom so the words are always visible, and even do speed challenges to make that recall automatic and super fast.
You know, ultimately, the whole concept of sight words teaches us a pretty profound lesson that goes way beyond just reading. It shows us that while some things can be broken down, analyzed, and decoded piece by piece, some other essential truths, well, they just have to be seen and understood in an instant.
And that leaves us with a final thought. This whole process of creating a visual dictionary is just a powerful mental shortcut. It kind of makes you wonder, where else in our lives do we develop these instant recognition skills? You know, from reading social cues to solving complex problems, what other mental shortcuts are we building to help us navigate and unlock our world?